Welcome to Story Planet, where the glow of a good story warms even the coldest nights. Tonight, imagine yourself stepping into a cozy candle shop in a snowy town. The air is crisp, the scent of pine and spices surrounds you, and you're here to pick out the perfect candle to light up your home. So, get comfortable and join us as we share the story of the candle shop at Winter's End. Who knows? You might just find the perfect candle waiting for you too. The Candle Shop at Winter's End. In a snow-covered small town tucked away in the rolling hills of the American countryside, there stood a small, quaint shop. It was called the Candle Shop at Winter's End. The year was 1947. Life moved at a slower pace back then. The town, untouched by modernity, clung to the old ways. The shop was housed in a brick cottage, its walls lined with ivy that would turn green in the spring. But in winter, snow covered everything in sight, muffling the world in a quiet stillness. The shop was a haven of warmth in the icy landscape, its windows glowing softly with the golden light of dozens of candles flickering inside. The shop's owner, Clara Mae, was a woman of quiet grace. Her silver hair was always neatly pinned, and her eyes, though gentle, held the sharpness of someone who had seen much in her life. She had been running the shop for nearly 3 decades, ever since she had returned to her hometown of Maplewood after years of traveling. No one knew much about where she had been or what she had done, but the townsfolk respected her privacy, sensing that her past was something she preferred to keep to herself. What everyone did know was that Clara Mae had a gift for making candles that were unlike any others. She hand-poured each one with care, using beeswax from a nearby farm and wicks that she braided herself. But it was her special blends of oils and herbs that made the candles so extraordinary. Each candle was infused with a unique scent that seemed to capture a memory, a feeling, a place in time. The people of Maplewood often said that her candles didn't just light up a room, they lit up the soul. Though Maplewood was small, word of Clara Mae's candles had spread far beyond its borders. People from neighboring towns like Willow Creek and Oak Ridge would make the journey to the candle shop at Winter's End as the first frost touched the ground. They came not just for the candles, but for the warmth and love that seemed to radiate from Clara Mae herself. She welcomed each visitor as if they were old friends. Her shop was always filled with the comforting hum of conversation, laughter, and the scent of wax and herbs. One such visitor was Henry Parker, a widower from the town of Willow Creek. Every autumn he made the trip through the countryside to Maplewood, where Clara Mae's shop stood, to purchase a year's supply of candles. Henry was a man of few words, but he and Clara Mae shared a special understanding. She always set aside a candle for him called Quiet Reflections. It was scented with sandalwood and vanilla, perfect for those long winter nights when the silence of his empty house grew too loud. Then there was Mrs. Abigail Turner, a retired school teacher from the nearby town of Oak Ridge. She would arrive with a basket of fresh apples as a gift for Clara Mae. Clara Mae would always trade her a candle called Memory Lane. Infused with the scent of old books and freshly baked bread, it transported Mrs. Turner back to her days in the classroom, surrounded by the eager faces of children learning to read. For Mrs. Turner, the candle was a bridge to the past, a reminder of her purpose and the lives she had touched. Young couples, too, found their way to Clara Mae's door. Emily and Jack, newlyweds from Birchwood, made the trip to Maplewood every November to purchase their special first snow candle. It was a blend of juniper and peppermint, with just a hint of cedar, a scent that reminded them of the day they had first met. They had been walking through a snow-covered grove as the first snowflakes of the season began to fall. Clara Mae would watch them leave hand in hand, knowing that her candles would be part of the home they were building together. But perhaps the most touching of Clara Mae's regular visitors was little Sophie, a bright-eyed girl of 7 who visited every winter with her grandmother. Sophie lived with her parents in the nearby village of Pine Hollow, but each holiday season she would spend a few magical weeks at her grandmother's cozy home in Maplewood. Sophie adored these winter visits. Each year, she and her grandmother would bundle up and make the snowy walk to Clara Mae's shop. Sophie loved exploring the shelves filled with colorful candles, and Clara Mae always had a special one waiting just for her. It was called Starlit Snow, a candle infused with the scent of sugar cookies, peppermint, and a hint of pine. Just like the Christmas trees Sophie and her grandmother would decorate together. Starlit Snow wasn't just a candle, it was a tradition. Each evening, Sophie would help her grandmother light it on the mantel, filling the house with the scent of the holidays. The warm glow would dance on the walls as they curled up by the fire, with Sophie listening to her grandmother's stories about winter adventures and Christmas magic. For Sophie, Clara Mae's shop wasn't just a place to buy candles, it was a place where memories were made. And each night, as she drifted to sleep with the scent of starlit snow in the air, she dreamed of snowflakes, warm fires, and the love that made every winter unforgettable. One especially cold and snow-laden evening, a young woman named Claire Johnson entered the shop. Claire was new to Maplewood, having moved there just before the first snowfall. She had come to escape the busyness of the city, hoping to find peace in the quiet of the countryside. But as the winter deepened, so did her loneliness. She had left behind friends, family, and all that was familiar. Now, as the snow piled up outside her door, she found herself feeling more isolated than she had expected. The bell above the shop door chimed softly as Claire stepped inside, stamping the snow from her boots. The warmth of the shop enveloped her. The smell of beeswax, lavender, and spice filled her senses. Clara Mae was behind the counter, arranging candles on a shelf. She looked up and smiled as Claire entered, her eyes twinkling with welcome. "Good evening, dear," Clara Mae said, her voice as warm as the room itself. What brings you out on such a cold night?" "I was just out for a walk," Claire replied, though in truth she had been wandering aimlessly, hoping the cold air might clear her head. "I saw the light in your windows and thought I'd come in." "Well, I'm glad you did. Come, sit by the fire and warm yourself." Clara Mae gestured to a comfortable armchair by the hearth. "I'll make us some tea." Claire settled into the chair, feeling the heat from the fire seep into her bones. The shop was cozy, filled with soft light and the subtle crackle of the fire. It felt like a safe haven, a place where time slowed down. Clara Mae returned with 2 steaming mugs of spiced tea, handing one to Claire before taking a seat across from her. "How are you finding life in Maplewood?" Clara Mae asked, her tone gentle. Claire hesitated, staring into her tea. "It's different. It's beautiful here and peaceful, but I miss the people I left behind. The winters in the city were always busy, full of parties and gatherings. Here, it's so quiet, and I can't help but feel alone." Clara Mae nodded, her expression understanding. Winter has a way of bringing out those feelings. But sometimes it's in the quiet that we find what we truly need. For a moment they sat in companionable silence, sipping their tea. The fire crackled softly. The room was filled with the soothing scent of pine and citrus from a candle burning on the mantel. After a while, Clara Mae stood and walked over to a shelf where she kept her newest candles. She selected one that was simple and unadorned, with a soft cream color. "I think I have something for you," she said, returning to Claire and handing her the candle. "This is the light of home. It's a blend of vanilla, nutmeg, and orange zest. A comforting scent that brings back memories of warm kitchens, baked goods, and the feeling of being surrounded by love." Claire took the candle, bringing it to her nose and inhaling deeply. The scent was indeed comforting. It reminded her of her mother's kitchen at Christmas time, of afternoons spent baking cookies, of laughter and warmth. A lump formed in her throat, but it wasn't an unhappy feeling. It was a feeling of connection, of remembering something precious. "Thank you," Claire said softly, her voice thick with emotion. "This is exactly what I needed." Clara Mae smiled, her eyes crinkling at the corners. "Take it home. Light it whenever you feel lonely, and let it remind you that warmth and love are never far away. Home is where you carry it, in your heart." Claire paid for the candle and left the shop. The wind bit at her cheeks as she stepped back into the night. But the cold didn't bother her as much now. She felt a warmth inside her that hadn't been there before, a sense of belonging that made the night seem less dark. When Claire returned to her cottage, she lit the candle and placed it on the small table by her armchair. The room was instantly filled with the comforting scent of vanilla and spice. As the flame flickered, it cast a soft, golden light across the walls. Claire curled up in her chair, pulling a blanket over her legs, and closed her eyes. She let the warmth of the candle's glow and the memories it evoked wash over her, bringing a sense of peace she hadn't felt in months. As the days turned to weeks and the snow piled higher, Claire made a habit of visiting Clara Mae's shop. She would stop by for a cup of tea and a chat, sometimes leaving with a new candle, sometimes just with a warm heart. The town, once so quiet and unfamiliar, began to feel like home. Winter slowly melted into spring. The snow gave way to budding flowers and fresh green leaves. The townsfolk emerged from their homes, ready to greet the new season. But even as the world outside warmed, the glow of Clara Mae's candles remained a constant presence in their lives. It was a reminder that no matter the season, warmth and comfort could always be found. And so, as the years passed, the candle shop at Winter's End continued to be a place of refuge and light. Its doors were always open to those who needed it. Clara Mae's candles, each crafted with love and care, brought warmth not just to homes, but to hearts. They stitched the town together with the threads of shared stories and the enduring comfort of light in the darkest of times. Thank you for joining us at Story Planet tonight. If you felt the warmth of Clara Mae's shop or imagined picking out your own candle, we'd love for you to like, share, and subscribe. Let the scent of pine, cinnamon, or vanilla fill your dreams tonight. Until next time, sleep well and good night.